Call to order the Special Committee on the Criminal Justice Center or Complex for December 16th, last meeting of the year. And just wanted to say hello to everyone, and we'll try to keep the meeting rather brief. January meeting may be a little longer, but I'll explain later. And Madam Clerk, if you would take us back to the agenda.
We're starting with item A, roll call. Each member is acknowledging that they are attending the meeting via Zoom and that they are located in Wayne County, Michigan, unless otherwise stated when I call your name. Commissioner Varga?
Here.
Commissioner Marecki?
Here.
Commissioner Baydoun?
I'm here.
Commissioner Kinlock?
Present.
Chair Anderson?
Present.
You have a quorum.
Okay. And Chair remarks, I have I have nothing at this time.
We're moving to item C, approval of the November 18, 2021 meeting minutes.
Do you have a motion to approve the minutes from the?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion and approval or support. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from last month? Indicate by
Aye.
aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any corrections? Seeing none, the minutes have been approved. And Madam Clerk, next on the agenda.
We're moving to item D1 under new business, an update from James Heath, Carter Fisher, Jay Shandor, Bill Rath, and Victoria Innes Edwards regarding the status of the criminal justice complex.
I would just want to add at this time that Victoria Innes Edwards has had a death in the family, and she's not going to be with us today. I expressed my sympathy to her when she sent me a notice, and but she should be with us in January, but she could not be with us today because of the arrangement. But James, if you'd like to get us started.
Thank you, Commissioner, and happy to see you as well as the other members of the committee. And I think it's a good thing that we're able to kind of touch base at least at the end of the year. As you said, that I think next year will be the year of the CJC, that we will see a lot of exciting developments come to fruition. And so you have the construction report provided by Carter Fisher. We've got Bill Rath, who can talk a little bit about some of the developments, the steady work that's been done. I was not here last month, and so I don't know if the committee had an opportunity to be introduced to Cheryl Jordan and the newer expanded role that she's playing in the with the CJC. And it really, if you did, please forgive me for going over additional things, but some of the things that are going to be added to the construction that we've been talking about for the last year and a half with this committee, transition has really sped up and has become equally as important as the building of the jail. As I like to say to folks, we've proven to ourselves that we can build a new facility. Now we're going to have to prove to ourselves that we can move into a new facility. And you know, that is happening at the same time as construction. And so Cheryl, in her new role with the county, has taken on that. And so I want to invite her to the virtual table along with our other team members here, and also kind of let you know some of the things that we anticipate happening over the new year. We will bring to a conclusion all of our outstanding issues with respect to parking at the facility. Cheryl is working hard on that, as well as the other members of the county team and our outside consultants. We've got nothing specific that we want to share with you today, but as you said, in January, February, certainly the first quarter of 2022, there's going to be some updates that we're going to be bringing to this committee as well as the entire commission on that. Move management services is something that's going to be added to our transition work. And that's something that Cheryl may discuss as well. Hey, Khalil. And, you know, one of the things also that's happening are the training opportunities for the sheriff's department as well as the other folks moving into the facility. You know, they know how to operate in the jails that they've been working in forever. And although we are seeing certainly, you know, miles and miles of improvements in terms of the additional programming and the like, all of the folks who do their work within the facilities, you know, need to be trained on how the new facility is going to operate, what policy or programmatic issues that they need to alter for the benefit of the employees there, but also for the benefit of the inmates who are there. You know, one of the biggest successes that I've seen working with this committee has been the change order process that you help us to put into place, Commissioner Anderson, whereby we work together to expedite changes that need to take place. And I think we've all done a good job of kind of keeping them to somewhat of a minimum so far, but B, even when we have to have discussions, having done so in an orderly fashion that answers the questions that you have. That process is going to continue, but one of the things that we're going to be presenting to you as we move into the new year is a process to allow us to do procurement in the same expedited fashion that we've done change orders. And I think that's important because there's a lot of stuff, and as Cheryl reports out in the months to come, there's a lot of stuff that has to go into this facility. And having a process that allows us to do so quickly while getting the information to all of you that is required is important. And so we're going to be asking for your cooperation in the months ahead as we develop a process that we think is fair and protects the county's resources, but also protects the process that we need to go about. Aaron Wagner is going to be a part of that as well as several others. And so that's something that we can look forward to as we go forward.
Okay.
So with that, I'd ask Carter, Cheryl, Bill to pull up a seat, and we'll, if any introductory comments for any of those folks, and we can delve right into your questions that you might have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And who wants to go first? Carter?
Sure. Just briefly, County Corporation Council. As James noted, you should have gotten our construction report yesterday. Not too much has changed in terms of the status of the building date. So we don't have too many sort of substantive updates. A lot of the work is being done on the inside of the building now. We're moving towards having a completed sample courtroom, and the court's users have actively been touring and making comments and stuff like that on the court's side. So we're getting a lot of good feedback from those end users, and that's we're looking forward to hopefully having some commissioners out to see what our courtrooms are going to look like sometime in the new year as well. But yeah, a lot of work is being done internally on the buildings. They're doing a little bit of work to button up the areas of the buildings where the external elevators had been, but otherwise we're pretty much on the inside doing carpentry, masonry, plumbing, and electrical and mechanical work. So that's where we are project wise, and that's pretty much the meat of my update.
I just wanted to ask Carter, the Barton Mallow report. I didn't see that with your, you said you hadn't received it when I saw the report that you sent around. Has that come in yet?
I think we might have received it actually just before this meeting started. So
Okay.
if not, I will check with them again and have it to you this afternoon at the latest.
I appreciate it. And just want to ask the one thing that there's a couple of things that I'm wondering if we could get a report on by next month, or I realize the parking issue, James, you had mentioned The one thing I've heard from, and I think some of the other commissioners that are on the committee may have heard from some of the attorneys that are concerned where they're going to park when they've got a case in front of the court, or they're, attempting to represent someone that's incarcerated, and the availability of parking for those attorneys. Will they be designated an area for them? And are we going to have sufficient spaces for them?
So we are kind of dividing our parking up into visitors and employees at this point. And we don't have plans for any designated attorney spaces as it stands right now. That's not something that they have at our current facilities either, though. They just kind of park where the general public is, and we envision a similar setup. What we are working on is making sure that we have sufficient spaces for everyone who needs to go and conduct business at the facility, whether you work there or whether you visit a client or handle a case, or whatever your business is at the courthouse. And so I guess that's the direct answer. They'll have a place to park. It will not be a designated spot, at least according to our plans right now.
I think I'm more interested in just if there's going to be a sufficient number of spaces. And I don't know if you've arrived at a number of spaces that we are planning for now, and how many we might need additional, because I know that's been a bit of a concern expressed.
Yeah. So we are working extremely hard with CGL internally, with the courts, to determine a good number of parking spaces that we need for everyone. It's a little bit more of a challenge than one might expect for two reasons. Number one, as you know, our courts have been shut down for the most part for the balance of the construction work on this project. Number two, the manner in which we are conducting business at our courts has been radically changed. Case in point, our virtual meeting here today. And so we are undergoing a pretty detailed analysis of exactly how much parking we are going to need, and we're trying to get to as solid of a number as that process can possibly yield, and then making sure that we go about the business of obtaining that parking. What I will say, and this commission should be able to say to anyone who asks, your willingness to allow us to buy out the parking concession agreement was the most important first step, because per the terms of that agreement, it allows us to then go about obtaining outside parking as we need it. And so that process is ongoing. Cheryl has jumped in with 2 feet. So Cheryl, if anything you want to add, feel free, but that's information that we're going to be working directly with you and presenting to you, quite frankly, in the first quarter of 22.
Yeah, I'll just, and this is Cheryl Jordan, Assistant County Executive. Hi, it's nice to see everyone. I feel like it's been a while since I've got to address you. We've been working extremely hard on the parking issue, and a lot of what we really had to do is work on what is the estimate of what we'll need. That is mostly coming from the courts and what they believe will be the visitors. So we're playing sort of a game of Tetris out there to say which lot, where do we buy it? Do we do something we already own? But we are definitely working very hard, and we're well aware of the timelines. But as James said, because we've had a lot of virtual hearings and things like that, we are still investigating what is the exact number of estimated visitors. And that's something, you can't just look up and know for sure. A large portion of that is going to be jury selection. Hundreds of people come in on one day, and then the rest of the time, you don't need that. So we are evaluating that closely. And I do think in the next few months, we're going to have the solutions. We've got all the solutions sort of laid out right now, and it depends on which avenue we end up going down to solve those problems.
Okay, thank you.
I think just, one of the things, if we had been able to go back, Cheryl could stand outside of the courthouse with a clicker and just count the people who come in. the unfortunate thing is it's been so long since we've had those people coming in, and then with just sea changes, quite frankly, happening in the legal community in terms of virtual hearings and the like, it's an interesting question that we're answering. And
If I could, James, and then I'm going to go to Commissioner Ken Locke. I see he's got his hand up. I did want to ask if you could provide us some type of an update in the next couple of months. I don't know if you'd have it ready by then, the schedule and the plan for moving in as the different people start moving in to the facility, that we'd have some idea of how that's going. And I know that's going to be a monumental task.
no, and so we will, and there's actually been some developments with respect to that even as of late in terms of our negotiations with ROC, which may allow us, and nothing is set in stone, but which may allow us to start moving certain of our end users into the building earlier than we thought. And, you know, that would obviously be a good thing. We are still discussing with ROC what that would mean, discussing with our buildings department, because obviously, you know, once we have people inside of the facility, then we have to maintain the facility while at the same time maintaining the prior space that they occupied. So we're working on that, but that's been a relatively recent development, and by that I mean the last couple of months, that is somewhat exciting, and we're looking through all the options and may be a positive for the county as a whole. And so as we solidify that, we certainly will let you know, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Ken Locke, I'll go to him now and get, he may have something for one of you that spoke already, but Commissioner Ken Locke.
Thank you. Okay, you know, when we take on big public work projects like this is a huge endeavor. We hope to be able to have a big enough footprint to respond to future needs, because it's not often that we're going to be able to take or undertake something this major. And so I'm wanting to know some more information around the conversations that have been taking place for quite some time regarding the consolidation of the courts. Because I know there has been some talk around the consolidating of the civil, family, and friend of court divisions in Third Circuit. And, you know, this is a criminal justice complex, large undertaking. And I just wanted to know what was the status of that, because it would seem to me that any sort of conversation about a consolidation effort should be had in a meaningful way, while we are now changing the landscape and the footprint of the court operations and with this Justice Center complex. So wanting to know status, wanting to know more so the progress, and how does that fit within what you're talking about today?
So excellent question. I'll say a few things. Even before we broke ground on the CJC, dating back to the initial, and I know you weren't on the commission then, I was not here then, but dating back to the initial settlement agreement between the county and the Third Circuit Court, there have been discussions about new civil spaces and consolidation. Those conversations have literally been ongoing for years. They continue today, and there are a number of us within the administration who are talking with the court and are hopeful that our conversations will continue to be fruitful for new and appropriate spaces for family law, friend of the court, and the civil work that Third Circuit does. We're not at a position to be able to announce anything right now, Commissioner, and I think that we probably won't be for a little bit, not because we aren't discussing it, but because we are working with M&B, working with the court, working with so many other stakeholders to determine what the county can,
Okay.
what the best use of our resources would be. And so that's about the best update I can feel comfortable giving.
James, I want you to put a tack in that on my behalf. That's a major priority and something that I absolutely think that needs to be at the top of what we're going to be, that you update us on. That's very important because
I will.
That operation is very critical. And let's respond to it right now, because I don't want us to have everything fit, locked in, and then guess what? This is still lingering out here. And then we have to talk about taking on another endeavor. So from my vantage point, I want to get whatever little bits and pieces of information that you all have moving forward to get regular updates on that.
No, point well taken. And one of the things, as we present to you our plans for parking and other changes which will be required because of the current CJC that we're discussing, what you will find is that we are taking into account the future in all of those decisions and discussions as well. And so point well taken. It's something that I'm glad is on your radar because it certainly is on ours. And as more information becomes available, we certainly will be sharing it.
Thank you. As you and I've talked in the past, this is in my district and a lot of chatter going on around it. You have been great in how you've been handling you and your team. Not just you and your entire team have been great. And so just wanted to keep that at the forefront. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let's see, are there any other commissioners right now that wish to ask any questions? But otherwise, I'll go back and have the remainder of his team presenting their anything they'd like to present to us today. Any other commissioners right now? I don't see any right now, any hands raised. If you do, speak up, because sometimes I don't see the hand raised. But anyway, back to you, James. I would, I'm not sure if
Bill, would you,
yeah.
any of you like to kind of share in general terms about some of the progress happening at the site and the work that CJ?
I think Carter summed it up really quite well. I think the admin building is moving along quite well. The courthouse is sort of in second place in the great race. The ADF is a big rock. I mean, it's a big piece of work, and the ADF is probably that'll be sort of the last building across the finish line, if you will. Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot to do. I think James, your comments about move management and trying to pull forward work activity that the county needs to perform to make the buildings ready for occupancy, to pull that forward ahead of substantial completion is a really big, important piece. So it's good to be talking with Rock about that opportunity.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. James, did you have anything else right now?
I did not. I know that Victoria has a report that she will give. We'll thank you for acknowledging the need for her absence today, but we will be updating you on what's happening in her corner of the project in January at our meeting.
Right. I noticed that Mark Abel was on the line, and he and I had a conversation, and I think he's had some conversations with our CFO about trying to get an updated spreadsheets and information on what has been spent and what is yet to be spent on the project, so we can take a good deep dive into the financial side of everything. Mark, would you like to speak to that?
Sure, Commissioner. Thank you. Going way back to when this project originally was approved by the commission, we did kind of an outline of what we expected the outcome to be. We were looking at all the sources and uses of funds. I mean, it included monies that were left over from the 2010 bond proceeds, allocations of about $35 million that were going to come in from the general fund, money that came from the sale of the Gratiot site, the contract with Rock, which was going to be about $401 million, plus their contribution of $132 million. And we had additional costs, owner's rep costs, defeasance costs, and there was a contingency budget. Early on, we were asking the administration to give us numbers that kind of detailed the original budget, monies expended, the remaining budget, and then estimated cost to complete at any point in time. But this is kind of a unique project in that, you know, it's a fixed cost contract with ROC. And unless there were significant change order, of which there weren't a lot, excluding the cup, of course, and then the parking, there wasn't much change in those estimates. Most of the expenditures that the county had were initial, and you know, we didn't find a lot of environmental contingencies, regulatory contingencies. We hadn't gotten to that stage of where, you know, we were dealing with contractual allowances, so we kind of fell off doing that analysis. But now we're at a point where, if you look at the numbers as of September 30th, there's about $80 million remaining in the fund balance that really controls this project. And we're looking to make sure that that is enough to finish it up, giving the tweaking that's occurred in the last several years, which includes dealing with the MIDC and the monies that they put into the project, dealing with, you know, the computer issue with ROC early on, costs that we estimate for furniture, fixtures, and equipment, moving costs, remaining cut costs, parking. So we want to see if, and I've been working with Huey on this to see if we can get our arms around putting it all together in an analysis that shows here's where we started, here's where we are, and here's the total cost of the project as it stands, with monies remaining and where we expect to spend it. So we're hoping that before the next meeting, and Huey, I'm hoping you can concur with this, that we're hoping to have something to present that can talk about those issues.
Yeah, I don't know if Huey's on. Is Huey on the line?
Yeah, he is on the line.
Oh, okay. So
I'm on the line, James. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll say this. I think you're right, Mark. And I think you all do deserve an update in that regard. A lot of numbers are going to come in, and I think probably at this point, I'm not even sure if Huey has all of the variables that he would need to give you that accurate spreadsheet. But I think by January we would be able to, hopefully, or maybe even February, because a lot of that will include things that we've already somewhat discussed in terms of, you know, parking and what we have to do to make sure we have all the spaces that we need, where we have to secure those spaces from, and the purchases required. I'm talking about in addition to the parking concession agreement. But you know, I think we'd be happy to work with M&B and Huey's team, and maybe even have a joint presentation if possible in January, February, to let you know exactly where we see things, where we stand, and what we think will need to carry us out to the end of the project.
Yeah, I think we're closer to it than you might think, James, because I mean, again, just incorporating the original contract, acknowledging all the change orders that have occurred or the changes to it, monies that may have come in, you know, I mean, the pluses from the MIDC and the remaining contingency budget that we have and where we expect to spend it. Even if it's just estimates at that point, just to get our arms around what the expectations are, so that at the end of the project, there are no surprises, is what the intent is.
And James, I was just going to say that Huey, I would just ask that Huey and yourself, James, and Mark get together and try to prepare something for us for either the January meeting or the February meeting, and just give us an assessment really of something to measure where we're at now and where we expect to be.
Mr. Chair,
No problem.
If I may, this is Huey.
Yes, Huey.
Yeah, that conversation, as Mark alluded to, that conversation has already started. We've made some progress on that. What I'd ask the committee to do is you give us a date, and we'll work against it. If you're saying that you want us to have that ready to go, the first in the meeting committee meeting in January or a committee meeting in January, we will, if with enough lead time, we'll get this done. As you know, there's a little bit of a timing challenge with it whenever you're looking at what's in the accounting system versus what contractual obligations look like. So what we'll do is, as best we can, draw a line in the sand in terms of timing and say, as of this date, the system shows this much money is available and has been paid out. And our friends in Corp Council and CGL are telling us this is how much money is left to go. And so you get a good view of how much more money do we have than what's necessary to complete the project. A lot of moving parts, so we'll have to lock some things down via assumption, but we are working on that, and that's on our radar screen. Thank you.
Good. I think, Mark and James, do you think that would be possible to do it by the January meeting? We're looking at about the 20th. I guess it would be the 20th. And if there's a wrinkle and something is not available, let us know. But
Based on Huey's comments, I think we can provide a lot of the information, and there's just follow up that Mark or anyone has. We can provide that, after that. But it looks like we can make some solid progress towards that by January.
From what I see, Commissioner, I think we certainly can make it by January 20th, or at least, be 95% there. There may be some uncertainties about the full use of the contingency budget, but it would be good to know that we're at least thinking about what the costs are.
Right.
I'll give you a perfect example, and I keep on referring to this as moving costs. Just acknowledging that we are going to have moving costs, understanding that we may have to bid some of that out before we actually have to, actually physically move from the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice to this new CJC, but at least understanding that we're giving it some thought, and we have a range of costs that we expect it to fall within.
right. Okay. All right. I'll leave that up to the three of you, and I'll, Mark, if you'll keep me apprised of the times when you guys are discussing, maybe we can do a conference call.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else, James or Bill Rath or Carter or Cheryl? Is there any?
Not for me.
Okay. I don't see any additional hands raised right now. Mark, did you have anything else?
No, I'm good, Commissioner. Thank you.
Okay. Any of the commission or committee members, anything?
All set. Thank you for the presentation.
All right. Thank you. Sam, anything?
No, very informative. Thank you for the presentation, gentlemen. Forward during the facilities to see the progress.
Yeah, for those that weren't on the commission, including myself at the time the last jail was attempted, the numbers are going to be very important, of course, to all of us. And right now it's looking pretty good. I think very good, and probably better than some of us had expected. So with the magnitude of the project, but James and his team, I appreciate your openness and your ability to be transparent as possible, and where I think we've kept everybody pretty well informed on the committee and on the commission that had inquired. So if there is nothing else, I will ask the clerk to move the agenda to the next item.
We're moving on to item E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Are there any other such matters? Do you have anything, Madam Clerk, that's been submitted to you?
No,
I
I do not.
I haven't received anything either. And I did want to, real quick, I wanted to thank James and everyone on his team for, as I said, the transparency that we've experienced, and thank you all. And James, I didn't mention to everyone the reason I think that you weren't at the last meeting, but you had told me that you took on a new role, I think at the state level. Was that the Bar Association?
Oh, yeah. So I serve as president-elect for the state bar. And so in September, I'm going to be sworn in as president. And so just about the time we're finishing the jail, life's going to get kind of crazy for me. So
Congratulations.
Kind of adds.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Yeah,
That's great.
congratulations. I want to make sure everyone knew that's quite an honor.
Mhm.
So we'll move on to public comments. I think that's where we're at, right, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Are there any comments from anyone else on the call that is from the public that has a comment or a question? Any questions or comments from the public? This is the time to do it. Did you have any emails or messages? I didn't see any in the chat either, but Madam Clerk, did you see anyone else that wanted to make a comment?
I did not receive any emails, no.
Okay. I'll ask one more time. Anyone on the call that wants to make a comment or ask a question? Okay. Seeing none, move the agenda.
We're moving to item G, adjournment.
Entertain a
Move
motion.
adjournment. Ken Locke.
Ken Locke.
Or Becky, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, we've
Merry
got a-
Christmas, everyone.
we've
Merry
got a
Christmas.
motion and surprisingly approval. All right. So anyway, I wanted to say also, Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year. And I hope you all have a safe one and a healthy one. And we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We're adjourned.